week and taking 14 credit hours a semester in college. Well, what they're going to realize is you didn't use very good judgment. You saw that your grades were suffering and you didn't make any changes. Okay, so here's a person that's not using good judgment. Is that who you want to go to as a dentist? I don't think so. It's not the person I want to go to anyway. So, use good judgment as you're going through and make the grades your top priority. I'm one of the guys I just talked about. It took me 7 years to get my 4-year degree. Because in addition to going to school, I was working in the library. I was working at J.C. Penney, selling clothing. And I was working as a tutor. And so it took me 7 years to get my 4-year degree. But I got it. And then I went on to graduate school. And I'm doing something that I really enjoy. So take your time, guys. Don't be in a rush. Make the grades your number one priority. If you hurry and the grades suffer and then you don't get into dental school, it's kind of like, well, what was the point of that? Okay? So take your time. Do good. What else? Oh, recommendations. We were talking about recommendations. Be thinking now about who you will have do your letters of recommendation, and make sure that you stay in touch with those people. If it's a professor, go back, even though you're not taking a class with them. Go back, visit with them during office hours, talk with them, ask for advice, maintain a relationship there. I read the letters that everybody gets every year. The great majority of them are not helpful. And the reason is, students go to a professor that they had for a class, they got an A, they like the professor, and so they go and say, will you write me a letter of recommendation to dental school? The professor really doesn't know the person, probably recognizes the face, maybe knows your name, but doesn't really know that much about you. They should say, I don't know you well enough to do a good letter. But they don't want to be mean. And so they say, okay, I'll write you a letter. And then I get a letter from them that says, I had this student in my general microbiology class. She got an A in my class, one of the best students in my class. She seems motivated and energetic and anxious to achieve her goal, and I recommend her highly. And when you read a letter like that, it's just so obvious. He doesn't know you. He's struggling, and all he can say is, she's smart and she seems nice. That's all he's got. So get to know the people really well who are going to write your letters. When we read them, it is just so obvious. The letters from people that really know you and the letters from people that don't. It just jumps right out at you. Okay? Now, yes?
How many recommendation letters should you have?
I tell people get as many as you want. I had a person this year that got 14. And if you want to get 14, go ahead. Now, we can only mail 2. So if you do get 14 letters, then you need to come and see me before we mail anything. I will read through the letters for you and recommend the 2 that I think are the best. Now, sometimes that's really hard, because I had a student this year, every letter in the file was fantastic. I mean, obviously she knew all these people really well. And then it gets really hard trying to pick, okay, which 2 are we going to use? Because they're all good. But if there is variation there, we'll pick the best ones. Okay? Also, on the little form that goes with your recommendation, there's a spot that you have to sign, and it says, I waive my right to read these letters of recommendation, or there's another spot that says, I retain access to these recommendations. I want to be able to read my recommendation letters. Always waive your access. Don't retain access, because if you do, everybody on our committee immediately thinks 2 things. 1, you don't trust this person, and you picked them. How can that be, that you're picking your person and you don't trust them? So that's kind of weird. 2, we think, aha, this person wants to be able to read this letter because there's something bad in their background that they're worried about coming out, and that's why they want to read the letter. We had one member of our HPAC committee that spent 2 months running around talking to people, trying to find out what was bad in this applicant's background because she retained access to her letter. Well, it turned out there was nothing. There was nothing bad there. But he made the assumption that there was just because she wanted to be able to read the letter. So it's up to you. I mean, it's your choice, but I would highly recommend waive your access. Okay, one other tip on the letters. Even if you're having a person write you a letter that you know really, really well, you meet with them regularly, and they just know you really well, give all of your recommenders a resume with everything in outline form that you think is important, that you would like to be included in that letter. I know personally, I won't write a letter for a person unless I know them really, really well. And even when I know them that well and they give me that resume, I find things on there that I didn't know. And the good news for you guys is you can actually sort of guide the direction of that recommendation letter by the information that you put on that resume. I mean, I can only speak for me, but frequently I will take that information and just kind of go through it and just start putting it in the letter. So you can have a big impact on the letter that you get by doing that. And if there's something that you think, you're sitting there kind of going, is this important? Oh, probably not. I didn't do it for that long. It wasn't that big a deal. If it were me, I'd put it on the resume. Even though in your mind you might be questioning it, I would say let the person writing the letter decide. So even if it's something that you think is a little marginal, my recommendation would be go ahead and give them that information. Okay? Okay. One more bit of information, I guess, about the HPAC group. When I came here in 1982, and none of you people were even a glint in your parents' eye at that time, we had an HPAC committee way back then when I first came here. The problem was the committee was made up of all science professors. And they were so funny. The first year that I came here, we went through this process. Because we would meet, and all the biology people on the committee would run to the transcript and see how they did in biology. And if they did good, that was a good applicant. And then the chemistry people on the committee would go to the chemistry courses. And each department would go to their courses, and if they were happy with how they did in physics and math, then they were happy with that applicant. Obviously, that wasn't a very good system. So currently, the HPAC committee is a very, very diverse committee. We have 2 members on the committee from the School of Nursing. We have people from the Student Health Service. We have people from the Student Affairs Office. We have faculty from other areas. We have Alan Sachs on the committee. All you guys know Alan Sachs? He's our campus curmudgeon. Have any of you had classes with him? Oh, a couple of you? Yeah. He is hilarious. I really like Alan. We have become very, very good friends over the years. And he loves to antagonize people, doesn't he? He'll say outrageous things in class just to get everybody stirred up and going. So we have a lot of diversity on the committee. And enough diversity that I think we get a pretty objective feel for the applicants. Okay, I'm going on and on and on. Did you have any questions about HPAC or recommendations or application to dental school or anything?
When do they go through your
The process?
Yeah,
the HPAC process?
I came in late, I wasn't sure.
Well, are any of you planning to apply to dental school next May of 2012? Okay, good number of you. All of you then that are getting ready to apply in 2012, you should come and see me in November or December. We will give you all the information then to put together your file, and you can work on it over the Christmas holidays. And then if you can have it done by January or February, then we will be ready to assign you to your interview and get that done. I would recommend, because there were about 5 of you that
Thank you.